I don't think personally, and this is a tentative statement because I don't think you can avoid that in this field, but actually the treatments that pretend to be technologies, that is to say that there's some sort of way of conversing with people that will somehow change their consciousness or whatever the way they think, and that will reliably, through the mechanisms that you're supposed to be attributing to this therapy, that somehow that's working. We know that is not the case. You can take any therapy that's sensible and respectful and structured, and it will produce more or less exactly the same outcomes, regardless of underlying models, philosophies, or whatever. It's called the Dodo-Bird verdict. I expect you've heard of that. The idea that, all therapies actually have the same outcomes. This is true of general psychotherapy as well as addiction treatment. And what they do is that they do a bit better than doing nothing at all. So they tend to have sort of rather modest effect sizes, but they are statistically significant.
Yeah.
And so they're helpful in one way. Now you can go and search for common factors and all this sort of thing. And there's no doubt that having a good relationship and rapport with the person who's working with you on a professional basis is that's good. And also believing somewhat in the efficacy of what you're receiving is good. And there are a variety of other things, but it's simply a key and a lock. It isn't the garden you go into when you open the door. It's so whatever treatment is, it's a catalyst for something else. And some people need lots of it, and there are various sensible reasons for that, and other rather more mysterious reasons for that. And there are other people who can be over-treated. You give them for too much of this kind of intervention, they actually do worse. There are all kinds of varieties about it, but society generally tends to want to regulate these things to some extent and wants to give people some idea of what they might receive. That's quite new, actually, that idea that patients need to know about things. But and you can see the point in it, and you can sort of also see that if you invest a lot in your professional training, you might want to believe in what you're doing. But nevertheless, I think we have to be very modest about the effectiveness of this. We need to provide it. I mean, there are people who simply are so lost and so disadvantaged that unless they have a safe place to go for a bit, they're just not going to get a purchase on changing their lives.
Absolutely.
And also within that asylum that rehab provides, you can meet people, you can make friends and connections. I mean, there's all kinds of reasons why you shouldn't just junk it. But if you want to know whether rehab works by doing some sort of randomized controlled trials comparing different types of rehabs or not rehabs or day care against, you'll get nowhere.